FULegal. Don't talk shit. Don't bend over. I know most of you out there need very little convincing, but just in case you do, I'm about to give you 12 good reasons not to talk to the police.
One day, the police are going to want to speak to you. They might want you to assist them in their inquiries. You may be under arrest, and they seek to interview you. In these circumstances, do not talk to the police. The following video provides 12 good reasons to not talk to the police. Talking to the police in these circumstances is bad for your legal health.
Reason number 1. You have a right to remain silent.
In 1966, in a case called Rice and Connolly, Lord Parker described the right to remain silent as the very basis of the common law, and so it is. The police have at their disposal the huge apparatus of the state, vast resources, and they can bring this apparatus of the state down upon your head. They can bring all of this to bear upon you, and you have one shield. You have a right to remain silent. Use it.
Reason number 2. Anything you say can and will be taken down and used in evidence against you.
The main reason police interview people is so that they can collect enough information to lay charges. In an interview situation, all of the information that's recorded will be gone through by the police with a fine tooth. They will be looking for inconsistencies. They will be looking for something to charge you with. Whether this has anything to do with the matter at hand, something peripheral to it, or something completely unattached to the matters being discussed, it doesn't matter to the policeman. They will be looking to be able to bang you up. Politely but firmly decline the offer of an interview. This applies especially when you're under arrest and in a police station. The very first thing the police tell you is you have a right to remain silent. Then virtually every action after that will be an attempt to get you to talk. You have a right to remain silent. Stay stumm. They will march you into an interview room. They will sit you down. They will turn on cameras. They will pull out a piece of paper and put it on the desk and start writing. This piece of paper is called a statement of interview. Politely decline the offer of an interview, and then at all points during the interview process, say nothing. No comment is your friend. At the end of the interview process, they will slide the statement of interview across the table and ask you to sign it. Do not sign this sheet. In Australia, 80% of convictions for drugs are achieved entirely on the information contained within a self-signed statement of interview. The police have slid a gun across the interview table to the suspect. The suspect has picked up the gun and shot themselves in the head. In an interview situation, your job is to remain cool, calm, collected, and silent.
Reason number 3. Police lie.
I know many of you out there will find this hard to believe, but the police often lie. They lie about what they saw. They lie about what they heard. In fact, in an interview situation, they're allowed to lie. They can engage in deception. They're trying to get you to unburden yourself. They will freak you out by telling you a load of bullshit, and then, in your confusion, you may tell them things that will get you busted. The best thing to do, of course, is simply decline the offer of an interview. Shut up.
Reason number 4. Talking to the police will not help you.
Like most people in our society, ever since you were a little child, you've probably been taught that Mr. Policeman is your friend. You have to help Mr. Policeman. In the main, this is a crock of shit. In our large, complex, modern society, the police do not need your assistance. They may need your assistance in busting you. They probably don't need your assistance in busting someone else. Talking to the police may help the police, but it certainly is very, very unlikely to help you.
Reason number 5. Talking to the police very likely will cause harm.
This point flows on naturally from the last point. Whilst talking to the police may not help you, it certainly can cause a vast amount of legal damage. When the police invite you to help them, then what they don't tell you is that anything you say that incriminates you will be used against you. Whilst the police don't need your help to bust other people, they invariably need your help to bust you. Don't give them that help. Just don't talk to the police.
Reason number 6. If you are guilty, then talking to the police will just make things worse.
Many people who are guilty of crimes automatically put their hands up and think, fair cop, and then sit down with the police and talk loquaciously for hours. It is a very silly thing to do. If you feel you're guilty of a crime, go and see a legal counsellor and ask their advice. Then have your legal counsellor approach the police. You don't know the law. You may not be guilty of a crime. You may be guilty of more than one crime and be unaware of it. This is normally the case. The individual who thinks it's a fair cop sits down in an interview room and pleads guilty to one crime, but then walks out of the room being charged with half a dozen crimes. You need the assistance of a legal counsellor in this situation. You don't need to put your head in the lion's mouth. If you're guilty of a crime, do not go to the police. Go to a lawyer.
Reason number 7. If you're innocent of a crime that you've been accused of, talking to the police will just make it worse.
The police are looking for you, and you're innocent of the crime that they're accusing you of. Many people in this situation believe that the truth itself will be their cloak and shield. All they have to do is go into the police station and explain themselves fulsomely, and they'll walk out again, and all of the problem will just disappear. This is an extremely naive view. The police's job is to gather enough information to charge you with a crime. Their job isn't to work out whether you're innocent or guilty, just to find out if there's enough information to charge you with a crime. If you're innocent, then it's most essential that you go and see legal counsel and have a long discussion with your legal advisor. They are on your side. They're looking for information which is rational and factual. They're looking for an idea of what actually happened. The police are just looking for a malefactor, and someone to charge. The person you talk to when you're innocent of a crime is a legal counsellor, not a policeman.
Reason number 8. Experts with experience never talk to the police.
When was the last time you heard of someone who's an expert in the law walking into a police station and giving themselves up freely for an interview? It doesn't happen. When was the last time you encountered a rich person freely walking into a police station and giving up information in an interview? It doesn't happen. People who are expert in the law know enough to understand that an interview situation is an incredibly dangerous one for your legal health. Experts don't tangle with the police in an interview because we understand that we can make a slip of the tongue, we can be pinned with information that we don't want to respond to, and refusing to give an interview cannot be used against you in a court of law. Just because you refuse an interview doesn't mean that the court can take any inference on that. In fact, in most instances, it can't be mentioned in a court of law. You have a right to remain silent. The experts and the rich people avail themselves of this right all the time. You deserve nothing less.
Reason number 9. Your legal advisor most certainly doesn't want you to talk to the police.
People who've made extensive submissions and admissions to the police are very difficult to defend in a court of law. This is because as the interview is occurring, the police are ticking off the various elements of the crime that have to be proved so that the individual can be found guilty of the crime. If there isn't an interview, then quite often many of these elements associated with the crime are arguable. This provides your defence lawyer the opportunity of having a real red-hot go at getting you off the charge. But if you've made extensive admissions to the police, then invariably you will be found guilty because you've admitted guilt to all the elements of the crime. If you talk to the police, then you're likely to be found guilty. So, don't talk to the police.
Reason number 10. You don't know the law.
The law is complex, arbitrary, and bloody-minded. You don't know the law. You may be sure that you've committed a criminal act, but have you? Have you actually committed all the elements of that act? Were all the elements at the same time? These are matters for someone who's an expert in the law to consider, not you. I've had people come into my office blasé and indifferent to the fact that they've committed acts that could see them charged. I've had other people come in a complete tiz, sure that they're about to be banged up for an eternity, but they haven't actually committed a crime. Before you even think about talking to the police, before you even think about going to the police station, seek out some good legal advice. You don't have to pay a lawyer. Just look in your local phone directory and you will probably find legal aid or a local community legal advice centre. Ask these people. Seek out some expert advice. If you go down to the police station and make admissions, you could very well be found guilty of a crime that you didn't commit.
Reason number 11. Often, the police don't know the law.
often the police display a woeful ignorance of the law. I know this might sound odd, but it's not the job of the police to know the law. It's the job of lawyers and magistrates and judges to know the law, not the police. The job of the police is to identify crime, to gather evidence, and to charge the bunny that's sitting in their interview room. Don't let you be that bunny. Avoid that interview room. Every lawyer has encountered situations where people have walked out of that interview room charged with crimes where the evidence just does not fit. Don't put yourself in the situation where an ignorant police officer can do you over. Don't talk to the police.
Reason number 12. The police are not your friends.
Finally, I'd like to have a word with you about your relationship with Mr. Policeman. You're a social activist. You have foregone the luxury of a casual relationship with Mr. Policeman. Mr. Policeman is an agent of the conservative forces in society. Mr. Policeman wants our society frozen in aspic. You, on the other hand, are a positive force for change. So both of you are on opposite sides of an ongoing battle. Do not have a casual relationship with Mr. Policeman in the street, in a pub, or at an action. Do not be casual with Mr. Policeman. You don't want him to know your name, and you don't want him to know anything about you. As soon as he gets these details down in his notepad, then you suddenly become another one of the usual suspects. And society needs you, acting for positive social change on the street. You're not doing me any good, banged up in a cell. So, remember, you're a social activist. Mr. Policeman is not your friend.